Mitt Romney today slamming a recent think tank study of his tax proposal, which claims he'd give tax breaks to the wealthy while increasing taxes on the middle class. Romney denounces it as garbage. Joining me now, Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. Grover, always great to see. I want to go right to this debate argument over Romney's tax plan. It's Brookings is the fancy pants federal Washington think tank that's saying that there's no way that you can actually get to revenue neutral using his plan without raising taxes on the middle class. What say you?
Well, Brookings is a left-of-center think tank with left-of-center assumptions, much like Obama's assumptions about the way the world works. So, of course, they don't quite get it. If you increase economic growth from, say, 2% a year to 3% a year for a decade, that increases revenue of the government by $2.8 trillion over the next 10 years. So economic growth is the way to increase revenue. Economic growth is the way to bring the debt down and begin paying off the deficit.
So is that what Brookings is missing, is GDP growth? Is that what they're not counting?
That's a piece of it, but then they're also making convenient assumptions. They say, well, you couldn't get rid of certain deductions, so we'll pick the ones that we think Romney meant.
Well, that's the problem, though, Grover, isn't it? We don't know what deductions he means. It's still an open question. He hasn't said specifically what kinds of tax breaks he's talking about taking away.
Well, he has been much more specific than Mr. Obama. What Romney has said, he wants to cut marginal tax rates 20% across the board, do it in a revenue-neutral way, both with economic growth and by pulling back some deductions and tax credits and so on. Completely doable. Every time we've reduced marginal tax rates, we've had more economic growth. Higher income people have lower tax rates and pay more in dollars and as a percentage of the economy. We've only done this in 64 and 86 and 81 and 2003, so this shouldn't be surprising anyone.
I got to ask you, though, is right guy to cope with, fix Tax-mageddon?
Yeah, actually, Ryan is a perfect pick. The only thing that was a little bit odd on the Republican side was you had so many people who could have credibly been your vice presidential nominee, and I'd be here telling you how great they are. I mean, imagine Scott Walker of Wisconsin, governor, or Bobby Jindal, governor of Louisiana, or Luis Fortunio, the Republican governor of Puerto Rico, or a number, Senator Portman, or, I mean, there are a number of guys, Chris Christie in New Jersey. So there were so many good ones. Paul Ryan is a great choice. He's the guy who's actually written a budget, unlike the Harry Reid and the Democrats in the Senate who haven't done a budget for the last 3 years, unlike Obama who turned in a piece of homework that all the Democrats in the House and the Senate voted against, their own president's budget, because it wasn't serious. Now, what it is trillion-dollar deficits as far as the eye can see. So Paul Ryan has written a budget that's been scored by CBO, and the general direction of that budget, Romney's supporting. He's got his own thoughts on the subject.
Let's talk about Medicare for a second, though, because I think this is the issue that's really raised its ugly head this week. Because Ryan was chosen, now suddenly the focus on his plan for Medicare, Democrats saying, look, this is going to cost people who are right now over 55, and that's not true. But it seems to me that Democrats think they can make hay out of this.
Well, here's the good news. Every election cycle, the Democrats come out and say the Republicans want to end Social Security and Medicare. And they just lie about it. They run TV ads and they say it on TV. Here's the challenge for the Democrats this time. There's actually a written plan that Paul Ryan has put forward and that Romney has said is moving in the right direction. It protects every 55 from any changes, so all the elderly people in Florida that Democrats like to scare can actually look at the Republican plan and see that it will not affect them one way or the other. Young people looking at it say, we know that the entitlements programs are falling apart, won't be there for us, and Romney and Ryan have a plan to reform them so that they'll work in 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. By putting out a plan, it makes it tougher for the other team to lie, which is what they've done every 2 years for the last 30 years. So it's much
Grover,
better protection
there's a lot of
to have
lying
a
that goes
plan.
on both sides, let's face it.
Yep.
Pox on both of their houses. Seriously, I think you find a lot of obfuscation at a minimum, both on the Democratic and Republican sides.
And if Obama would put together a budget, then it would be tougher for people to imagine what his plans are.
Good point, Grover. Always great to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Good to be with you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.